Welcome to Bilingual Book Buddies podcast and webcast. Bilingual Book Buddies is dedicated to promoting bilingual books for children and sharing insights from authors, illustrators, editors, agents, and anyone involved in bringing such books to the market. I am Claudia Sloan. I'm an author and illustrator of children's books in English and Spanish and also bilingual. My most recent book is titled We Are the Valley, Somos el Valle, and is dear to my heart because it's a collaboration with my favorite professional basketball teams, the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury. And I have the pleasure to introduce my co-host, my podcast co-host, Alicia Salazar and Silvia López.
Hi, my name is Alicia Salazar. I'm the author of the Camila the Star series. And I have an upcoming book called Cascarones, an Easter surprise, coming in May.
I'm Silvia López, and I also am a children's book author. Most of my books are bilingual. I had one just come out in 2024. I have about 14 books published, and I have 3 in 2026. So I'm really looking forward to those, and I enjoy the bilingual books that I'm writing so much. It's really wonderful. So we are very, very pleased today, and I am particularly privileged to introduce our guest author today, who almost needs no introduction for a lot of people. This is Ana Siqueira, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Ana. She is a well-known, award-winning author of several picture books, as well as a Spanish language teacher. She's also a Spanish language teacher residing in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. The large majority of her books are bilingual, English and Spanish, but she is trilingual or maybe multilingual, and she also speaks Portuguese. And she has also written a board book about Brazil, which is her native home. For the series Our World, as well as a graphic novel version of the Brazilian folktale Boitatá the Fire Snake. Ana's books, which I have several of them here, are filled with humor and action that appeal to children of all ages. That is her signature. They are very, very vivid books, and they're very appealing to children. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Ana our very first question. Ana, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself before you became a children's author?
Okay, well, I'm so glad you have been invited to this podcast and video. Thank you so much. Well, I was always very creative. I was a little bit crazy because my mom said like we would go on hikes and I would be telling her a story for like 2 hours. But she said that I would tell stories so fast that in my mind things would come so fast that I would tell her it was very complicated for her to understand because my thoughts were and my words were not really in agreement. I would speak faster than my thoughts, and my thoughts were faster than my talking. I don't know. So I always loved telling stories to my siblings. We would get together and do like scary story sessions, and I would tell them a lot of scary stories. I also loved writing poems. So I was always a writer, I think, because I had a lot to do, I think, with my brother's death. I was a twin, and after my brothers died, I became very introspective, and I think with that it came a lot of writing and imagination and things like that. So I always loved stories and reading. I would read a lot of books, so that was my childhood.
Great, great. Thank you. That was wonderful to know. We're not alone, ladies. You see, all of us are storytellers, and so this is great. That's why we have these wonderful authors on this project that we have created. So I'll go to Alicia, and she has the next question.
Okay. What motivated you to write books for children? Are there any personal stories, anecdotes, unique experiences, or achievements that are significant to your journey?
Okay, so I started writing books for children in Brazil when I was much, much, much younger, like in my 20s. So I wrote two books in Brazil. One of them got an award from the what we call Academia Brasileira de Letras. It's very prestigious there. And but then I came to the United States and I had two kids and I was working. I stopped writing completely stopped writing. My mom was always telling me, "Why don't you go back to writing? You were such a good children's books writer." And then one day I was teaching my second graders Spanish and I tried to teach with stories. And they said, "Oh, have you seen that video, the duck song?" And it's a very viral video. I don't know if you have watched it, but it's about a duck who goes to the lemonade stand and asks for grapes every single day. And they loved that video. And I said, okay, I'm going to make a story with that video, based on that video, to teach Spanish. So we talk about the days of the week, how he was bothering the guy every day. And they love it. And I sent that story to Teachers Discovery, that is an educational market. And they bought the book and they published the book. And that's how I went back to writing stories for kids. So my students inspire me to go back to writing. Because after I got this story, I've said, well, I should go back to writing my picture books. Of course, my kids were already grown up and I was more established, so I did have the time to go back to writing.
Wonderful. Thank you.
What a fabulous answer. I have the next one. Actually, it's two questions. They're related, but the first one is, as Silvia mentioned in your introduction, you are the author of several bilingual Spanish and English books, but you also speak Portuguese. Are there, well, and we noticed that there are very few bilingual fiction picture books in English and Portuguese. What do you think this is the case?
I think it's mostly the market. The thing is that, of course, there are more Hispanic than Brazilians or Portuguese people here, or people who speak Portuguese. So they see like, oh, the Spanish market is so big. There's so many kids in school who speak Spanish. So the publishers might be more interested in the Spanish market than the Portuguese. But I noticed the Barefoot books, the one that they did the collection for Our World, they are doing something. It's funny because they are doing something that my librarian told me. One day I went to my library and she told me that the schools are looking for books, bilingual books in all languages. They want a book that is like that you have both language in the same book. So you have like a paragraph in English and then a paragraph in Portuguese or whatever language it is. They are looking a lot for this kind of books because, we have kids from all over the world. And Barefoot Books is doing that now. So they just got the book from Mariana Llanos, the one Benita and the Night Creatures. I just bought for my grandson now in Portuguese. So it is English and Portuguese. So it's really good for my grandson, my older one. He's 10 years old. He can read both and compare and learn. So I think that's a great idea. And my librarian told me that schools are looking for it. So publishers, think about it if you listen, because that's what I heard, that they're looking for it. So I hope that really catches, because I think it would be great for the kids to find their books in all languages.
Yeah, and you kind of answered my second question, which was about that. If you think it's important to expand into all languages other than Spanish, and what other languages do you think it would be great to expand to?
I think, most of the languages, I know there are so many kids from Asia, from all the countries in Asia, I don't know. I know that Barefoot Books is doing in maybe 6, 7 different languages.
That's amazing.
So I think like the more languages you can, they are doing like paperback, so probably it's cheaper. But I think it's a great idea to have books bilingual in many, many different languages. Of course,
Wonderful.
Spanish, Portuguese, Mandarin, and many other ones.
Thank you. Yes,
Good
I
to
agree with
know.
you.
Okay. This kind of leads a little bit. Some of our audience will be made up of librarians, teachers, and parents. do you know or can you mention some specific needs or challenges that this audience faces as far as acquiring or providing their students or their children with bilingual books? What are the challenges that the industry may put on this group of librarians and teachers and parents?
Well, I think it's so important to have the representation, right? We know it's important to show the kids other cultures and other perspectives. Unfortunately, we can see now this banning books situation that is very sad because I trust librarians completely and teachers. They will not choose books that are not appropriate for the kids. And of course, I believe the parents can say, okay, I don't want my kids to read this kind of book, but I don't think parents should be able to tell no kid should read this kind of book. So I think this is a big challenge nowadays. And I think I see the publishers are getting together now and fighting and going even to court because kids need to see other worlds, see other cultures. They need to see themselves, but they also need to learn about others because we are in a global world now. We need to understand each other. We need to learn more about each other and to understand more about critical thinking, different perspectives. This is all something also so good for the kids. So I feel really bad for the librarians and teachers because I trust them completely, and people are not trusting them now. They are saying, "No, we have to take care. We have to be the boss of the librarians and teachers and say what books they can purchase or not purchase." So I can see that they are probably like, should I purchase this book? Should I talk about this book? Or I might be fired, or I might or a parent can come and talk about me, and I might get in trouble. So this is very sad, and I think I don't know the solution because it is a big problem, but we all have to get together and try to help and librarians, teachers, and kids to be able to read what they want to read.
Thank you,
You're
Anna. You hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. I'm sorry, Claudia. I was just going to tell her that because absolutely that is the biggest challenge. That is the biggest challenge that we're facing right now is this uh, book banning and just the intrusion of other factors into the professional uh, judgment of people who are trained in this and not being trusted. So I'm glad that Anna mentioned it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to make a comment on that I'm glad she brought it up as a trust. Uh, I mean, you want people that are trained, that are professionals, that understand the literature so broadly, so widely, like they do, and we've trusted them, for so many times before, and they've never let us down. I love librarians,
Yeah.
and so I feel like it is unfair right now, and it's sad that we're going through this. So hopefully, there will be some positive resolutions in the horizon, but. I'm staying hopeful. I'm a positive person, but it is really sad to see that trust is being tampered with right now.
Yes.
Alicia, I believe is your turn for the next question.
Yes, it is my turn, and it's related, but it's kind of on the other side. Uh, Proactively, how do you think that librarians, teachers, and parents can advocate for more diverse stories in their schools and communities?
Okay, so yeah, that's a very good question. I think like we all know the representation matters to the kids, and we all know that we need to learn about other cultures. But we can also show parents and teachers and librarians and everybody that is the kids needs to be prepared for the world, for the future, for their future. Their future is not going to be the same as our future. So they need to know more about global citizenship. I was trained as a global citizen teacher, and I think it's so important for their critical thinking, for their intelligence, for their global uh, citizenship, I'm repeating myself, to understand about different cultures and different perspectives. For example, I work as an interpreter for an export and import company, and they got a client from Chile. And the guy, for him to close the deal with this guy from Chile, he had to take him to a lot of lunches and breakfast, drink a lot of cafecitos and talk a lot. And it was not like, okay, we're gonna make a deal, and that's how we make a deal, and what you want, what I want. And he was so surprised. And he told me, because he was an American, and he said, "Oh, I never expected that to be like that. We have to basically spend the whole week with this client to make a deal." So it is different, and you have to understand each other to even for business purpose, for work purpose. So I think if we can show the world is global now, everybody communicates with everybody, and the future is going to be even more global. So we need to learn about the different cultures and different perspectives, to learn to respect each other, and to learn there are differences, but I believe we're basically the same, but we need to learn about the differences too.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
Yeah, and along the same line, we need obviously more global creators, and so our audience consists of authors and aspiring authors as well. So, what advice would you give to anyone wanting to write bilingual or culturally rich stories?
Well, I always say, like, if you want to write about your story, basically all my books are based on things that happened to me or to my grandkids or to someone around me. So I think it's very important that you put your culture and your memories into a book. And the more you pour your soul while you're writing, the better, the stronger the story is. But I think it's very important that you don't let the truth I never remember that say. Aisha always tell me, don't let the truth destroy your story. Like, get in the way of a good story. So, for example, my story about if your babysitter is a bruja was inspired my daughter. My daughters went to the beach and she didn't want to leave. And I would say, come on, we have to go, we have to go. And she said, no, one more. I have to dive one more time, one more time. And I had to talk to her like in my teacher's voice. Come on, we have to go now. And she started calling me a witch. So I had to take her home and she was yelling, saying, you are a witch, you're not my mom. And that story stayed in my mind forever because she's a mom already. Her son is 10 years old. So you can see how long it took for me to write that story. But I changed it to be Halloween or almost Halloween. I changed the mom to be a babysitter. So I see that a lot of times when authors are writing about their own experience, they say, no, I cannot change that because that's how it happened. That's what happened to me. If I change it, be sure like you can change. You're gonna write based on your experience, on your culture, on everything that happened to you, but make sure you can change and make it more fun, more relatable to the kids who are going to read, and more sellable too.
That's another great answer, Anna. Very nice. Okay, so now I have a more specific question because we were interested in this when we looked at your books, and I'm familiar with your books because I already bought all your books for my grandchildren. So I mean I knew them well, but some of your bilingual books are written in English with Spanish words in the text.
Mhm.
Then the same book is translated into an all Spanish version. So that's established. But in several books, you have if your babysitter is a bruja, cuando tu niñera es una bruja, abuela super capa, la mala suerte. In those books, the Spanish version, you include some English words in there, which is unusual because some of the books that we have seen that are all Spanish, as opposed to either all English or English with Spanish mixed in. But no, the other book, the same book but in all Spanish, didn't have any English words for a lot of the authors. So, can you tell us a little bit about that idea? How is that chosen? Is it a process between you and the editors? Is it something that is it when you translate? Is it something that how do you make the decision to intersperse English words into your Spanish versions of the books? Because that is unusual. So tell us a little bit about that. We were all interested in that.
Okay, well, so the book that has the words in English is If Your Babysitter is a Bruja. So I asked my editor, and she said, "Okay, let's go for it." Because since it was my first one that it was, because my first book, Bella's Recipe for Success, it doesn't have a translation, Spanish, right? So If Your Babysitter is a Bruja, I translated that. And then when I translate, I asked my editor, since the one in Spanish has oh, the one in English has Spanish words. What do you think if I add some English words to the Spanish version? And she said, yeah, let's go for it. So she agreed. But then when I asked for Abuela Super Capa, she said, no, let's just do all in Spanish. And was the La Mala Suerte and Sticker Hermana, who is also from Charles Bridge and coming this year. The translation is done in-house. They have a translator. So the translator translate everything's in Spanish, and she did not want that. So it's basically a discussion with the editor. So if the editors are open for it, and the only editor who was open for it was the one for Simon Schuster for Bruja. But I like the idea because they said if we were putting some words in English in Spanish, I think we should do the other way around too.
And also, you might feel that there's a word in English that is just more suitable to that phrase. It just pops more and
Yes,
goes more with whatever the action is happening, you know.
yes.
So yeah, that I'm glad that you said that because we wondered about it and it's unique. So thank you. Okay, so I'll turn it over to Alicia.
Okay, so you mentioned you're a PBS media innovator. For our
Mhm.
audience's benefit, what does that consist of?
So PBS has a contest for teachers that you can send videos of projects and things you're doing with your children at school. So at this time, I was working now. I work with Florida Virtual, so I teach online. But I was teaching at a brick and mortar school at St. Paul's in Clearwater, Florida. And I send my videos. I used to do a lot of at this time was not Zoom, was Skype. So I used to do a lot of Skype between my students and students from other countries, and we would play geography games. We would do a lot of projects together that they would put their kids in my school, my kids in their school. So it was a lot of fun that I used to do with my kids. A lot of things they had at this school was a private school, so they had their own devices. So I sent those videos, and I won the award for the local PBS Media Innovator.
That sounds like a really interesting experience. Thanks for sharing. We're actually reaching the end of our interview today. So, what are the main messages or takeaways you'd like listeners to gain from this interview today?
I think like my main message, like my main motto, logo is that we should treat each other with respect, empathy. We should res really uh, discover that I believe that we are different. We have differences in our culture, in our food, the way we dress, but basically inside we are the same. We are connected by our universal emotions, by our humanity. And I really wish we could all see each other like as equal, and treat each other with respect and empathy.
Thank you, Anna. That's wonderful. I have one slide that has I think it's on your website,
Mm-hmm.
which has the books that we've talked about today.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other side, I saw that you have Vera la Valiente is Scared, which is coming in August, and Sticky Hermana Pegajosa in October. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And by the way, there's also your website is there, annafiction.com. Okay, so
Yes.
you can find Anna at annafiction.com or just look her up on a browser as Ana Siqueira. But tell us a little bit about these two upcoming books. They sound as good and as fun as all your other projects.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, Vera La Valiente Scare is illustrated by Teresa Martinez and is coming with Beaming Books. And it is about a girl who's very brave. She thinks like she can do everything. And then when the teacher says they're going to the roller coaster park, she's really scared of roller coaster, but she doesn't want to tell her friends she's scared of roller coasters because everybody perceives her as being so brave. But in the end, she's going to discover what bravery really means. Of course, I don't want to tell her, not to spoil the ending. I love the illustrations, are really, really fun. And Sticky Hermana is based on me and my sister because my sister was very sticky. She would not leave me alone. She was 4 years younger than me. And I even put my name in her name because my name is Ana Claudia. So I put the name Claudia and the girl is Monica, like my sister. And my sister would like, she would ask my mom to go everywhere I would go, even my sleepovers. So in this book, the girl Claudia has a soccer tournament and she doesn't want to take her sister there. And the mom says, yes, she's going, she's going to be the cheerleader. And so she's going to have to come up with some plans. And it has something to do with bubble gum. That's why you see that. And, but in the end, of course, everything is going to work out. And I have some other books coming, but it's in 2026. I have the companion book for If Your Babysitter is a Bruja. It's going to be If Your Abuelo is un Astronauta. And
Okay.
I have Mommy's Heart. That was supposed to come this year, but it was postponed, so it's coming next year. And I also have a chapter book series, hopefully coming 2026. Let's see, we are editing it, called Creepy Creature Catchers. So, yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing. And one thing that I caught from that is Claudia. I love how you say my name.
Yes, Claudia,
In
yes,
Portuguese. Is
yes, yes,
Claudia a popular name in Brazil?
yeah.
Okay, so we share a
Yeah,
name. That's
There
awesome.
you
share a
go. There
name.
you go.
Share a name.
But
Okay.
congratulations on all those projects, though. That's exciting. They look really fun.
Thank you.
Uh,
Okay, so we're going to go to the rapid fire questions. Are we ready, Claudia? Claudia?
yes, yes. This concludes the official part of the interview. So these are just rapid fire questions. Just answer as quickly as you can. So the first one is, what's one interesting fact about you that even your biggest fans might not know?
I think most of my fans don't know that I had a serious, oh my gosh, how do you call that? I forgot. When you cannot read, dyslexia. I was very dyslexic. I had to go on treatment and therapy, and I had problems with coordination because I was supposed to write with my left hand. I was lefty, but my mom tried to change, made me change to be to write with my right hand. And that made a big confusion. So I was
Oh,
very
absolutely, yes.
dyslexic and I had a lot of problems with coordination. That's why I'm still very clumsy, but I'm okay now. But I'm very clumsy.
Well, that is amazing to hear that from you. And I'm not surprised when you say about the right hand, left hand. It was so prevalent just a few years ago, even. But luckily, I think that has changed, and
Hmm.
they're not doing that to children anymore. But I remember that where they would even just put your hand behind you and tie the hand so that you
Hmm.
wouldn't use your right hand. You would have to, I mean, your left hand, you would have to use your right hand. I
Yeah.
know, I know. So look at that. There you have a personal experience. Okay, I'm going to ask you your second rapid fire questions. If others were to describe you in one, two, or three words, what would those be?
I would hope that most people would describe me as kind. I think I try to help people as much as I can, and I really enjoy helping people, so I think maybe kind and creative because I think I'm very creative too. So I think those two words would be a good fit for me.
Great. Alicia?
Uh, what book or books have had the most impact on your life?
It's fun that when I was a little kid, I love reading very sad stories. I love reading Heidi. Heidi the girl who goes to her grandpa's house, and her grandpa is really mean to her. David Copperfield, who was also, I thought I was very like, oh, the life is so unfair to me. So I like to read books about kids that were not being treated fairly, but then they overcome things. But my favorite book of all when I was a little kid was very, very sad too. In Portuguese, Meu Pé de Laranja Lima. José Vasconcelos is about also a boy, very poor boy, that goes through a lot of abuse in his house, and he has like this orange tree that is his best friend, and he talks to the orange tree. Was very sad, very, very sad. He makes a friend, and then the friend dies. It was very sad book, but I don't know. I used to love reading very, very sad books, and funny that now I like to write funny
Very
books.
happy,
So, yeah,
happy books,
yeah,
lively
happy books.
books, happy books.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
but those are the books that really touched my heart when I was a
I
little
can
kid.
totally relate with you. I love Haiti growing up.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I know. You sound like Wendy Adams, Anna. You know, from the Adams family, that's she's
Uh-huh.
always it's a spooky books and the
Uh-huh.
sad books, right?
Yeah.
Yes. No, but that's interesting it is interesting because I'm glad we asked that question because your books are lively. You know, yes, the characters do encounter a problem that they have to solve or something that they have to overcome, like any good book should, but they're full of laughter and they're full of fun. And
Hmm.
so that's interesting that you should say that. So that's a complete 180 degrees
Yeah.
turnabout. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so Claudia, you want to wrap up and
Yes, this brings us to the end of this wonderful episode. It went really fast because we were truly enjoying your presence and your answers. Thank you so much
Mm.
for being with us today, Anna. Um, eh, I admire you even more now that I gotten to
Mm.
know you more. I mean, I've had your books. I've seen you before through the children's books festivals and different things like that. But it is totally an honor to have you here today. So thank you so much.
Alicia,
Thank you
anything
so
you want
much.
to add?
Oh, I just want to say again, thank you for meeting with us and telling us about your books and your life. And I want to tell you that your creativity, your prolificness, if that's a word, I don't know, and your success in this industry is inspiring to me, and I'm sure it's inspiring to everyone watching. So thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Alicia. And
everyone.
see, I'm just going to add, Anna, it is a pleasure to know you. And when you come to the writing group, those of you who don't know that when Anna comes to the writing, the critique group, her insight and her opinions and suggestions are so valuable
Mm.
that it's amazing. They really are. Everybody hangs on her words because they're very, very valuable. She speaks from experience. And I think that the word that she chose for herself of being kind is certainly very appropriate because this
Oh,
is how she comes across all the time.
oh, thank
So,
you.
Anna, for me, it's been a pleasure and a privilege that you accepted to come with us today and be with us today. And we look forward to many more of your successes. And maybe we'll bring you back so that you can talk about your future successes as they happen. And have a wonderful, go back and rest. I know you've been ill, so we're doubly
Doubly
grateful.
grateful for your
Yes, very
presence.
grateful that you did this. Okay. T
Mhm.
Take good care and rest. And thank you for being
Okay.
with us today. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.